The Arkansas Tech University Faculty Awards of Excellence were established in 1996. Selected by a committee of faculty members at the end of each academic year, the awards recognize the best in teaching, scholarly and creative activities, and service at Arkansas Tech. The 2026 Faculty Award of Excellence recipient for service is Dr. Jason Ulsperger, Professor of Sociology and Criminal Justice. Dr. Ulsperger, thank you very much for taking the time to visit with us today, and congratulations.
I appreciate that, and it's a pleasure to be here, Sam.
Well, these awards are 30 years old, and you've been here for 20 of those 30 years. What was it that drew you to Arkansas Tech back in 2006?
Well, I'm originally from Arkansas, and I always had a goal as an educator to get back home and share with students from Arkansas the same sort of mentorship that I received when I was moving through the college ranks in the state. And Arkansas Tech, just geographically and culturally wise, seemed like the perfect fit, especially so after I came and interviewed and was exposed to some of the administrators and some of the colleagues that I now have in the Behavioral Sciences Department.
What is your favorite aspect of Arkansas Tech?
Well, that's hard to say. I would definitely say I appreciate administrators. I appreciate my colleagues, but I really enjoy students, and I really enjoy interacting with students. I enjoy mentoring students, and I enjoy hearing from students after they've left and having them tell me how much tech was important to them through their journey.
What characteristics do you most admire in the students you get a chance to work with here at Arkansas Tech?
I think I really admire their persistence. We have a lot of students that have obstacles that they have to overcome, and they have no trouble at all overcoming those obstacles, setting high goals, and meeting those goals. I'll just give you an example. This morning I received a message from a student who graduated last year. Her name's Abigail Tate. She was very involved in some of the clubs that I sponsor. Her goal was to gain a position with the FBI, and she's pushed over the last few years and sent me a message this morning, and she screenshotted her message from the FBI that said, "Welcome to the FBI." So it's a pleasure to see students succeed.
What are some of the most common challenges that you see among the student body here at Arkansas Tech, and what are some of the techniques that you deploy to help them overcome those?
I think we have a lot of first-generation college students, as you know, and I think sometimes interacting with professors can be intimidating. So what I take great pleasure in the classroom is bringing things down to a certain level where students can really appreciate the concepts and the ideas on more of a basic level. So, for example, in my classes, one thing I make it very important for me to do is to just tell stories that the students can relate to and intertwine complex ideas into those stories. And I think there's something about that technique that just helps them understand things academically a little bit better than they would otherwise.
In your classroom, you're required to walk students through some very difficult topics. That's just a matter of just part of the world of sociology and criminal justice. And,
Sure.
We live in a world where people often experience trauma, and many of your students will be confronted with that as they go through their professional careers. How do you go about creating the appropriate space for those challenging classroom conversations to occur?
Well, it's important, I think, from the onset within those classes to give the students the information that you just mentioned, to tell them to be expecting those things, to tell them to be aware of possible issues that they might face in the future. But one thing I think that really helps out, and I make it a habit to do this as well, I bring people in from the community who work in specific areas and fields that the students will be going into. And I think it's good for me to give them sort of the technical and theoretical concepts associated with those types of career trajectories, but it really reinforces the essence of what they'll be experiencing in the field when they have those people who are actually working in it come in and talk to them. I should point out in relation to that, a lot of those people that I bring in are tech alums, and I take great pride that many students that I've had through the years are working in the community right now with these nonprofit institutions, and they're trying to help people who historically are disadvantaged within our community. And again, I really take great pride in that.
And one of those groups is very much the elderly, and that's a thread that has gone through a lot of your research and a lot of your service over the years. What is it about serving the elderly as a topic that speaks to you?
I think it's my lived experiences. Whenever I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother was in an elder care facility. She did not have the best experience in that elder care facility. So I've always had some focus on what's going on with people who are institutionalized, specifically the elderly, and wanted to reach out and connect with them and help them remain a part of the community.
You winning this particular award, the Service Award through the Faculty Awards of Excellence program this year, is a little bit special. In entertainment, they have something they call the EGOT. That's someone who's won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. Well, at Arkansas Tech, for our faculty, we have the Faculty Award of Excellence Triple Crown, winning in teaching, scholarship, and scholarly activities, and also in service. And with this year's award, you join your colleague, Dr. Jason Warnick, as the only Faculty Award of Excellence career Triple Crown winners in Arkansas Tech history. So I've got a two-part question related to that introduction. First, has Jason welcomed you to the club with some kind of ceremonial sport coat or something? And then on top of that, and more seriously, what does it mean to you to be recognized in all three of those categories by your peers?
I have not spoken with Jason directly about that. In my mind, I'm thinking that maybe there's some sort of chamber underneath the new student union, and maybe in a couple of weeks he'll escort me down there, and I'll get a gold and green jacket, maybe with a Jerry emblazoned on the back, maybe with diamonds. And
that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect.
So that would possibly be it. But to be recognized by colleagues means the world to me. It's very important. It's one thing if people externally recognize you or students recognize you for the work that you do, but to have your peers, the people who really know what goes into what we do, recognize me is amazing. And one of the reasons for that is because I know how much work and effort my peers put into what they do. So I have a great appreciation for them and a great deal of respect for them. And even within my Department of Behavioral Sciences, there are several people who have been award winners within that department, and Warnick being one of those who's won all three awards. It's pretty spectacular. It's a great honor.
Absolutely, absolutely. Specific to this year's award for service, among the reasons why we're sitting here having this conversation is the Pathways to Care initiative that Project Impact has been involved in throughout this academic year as part of your work with the honor students in the disciplines in which you teach. If you could just tell us a little bit about Project Impact as a larger umbrella, and then specifically Pathways to Care and how that has helped shape your experience during this academic year.
Sure. In terms of the groups that I sponsor, I work with several student clubs. I work with the Sociology Honor Society, which is Alpha Kappa Delta. We won an award a few years ago as a national award. We were the chapter of the year. I also, a few years ago, started a Criminal Justice Honor Society, and that's called APS, Alpha Phi Sigma. And a few years ago, we also won a national award for chapter of the year, beating out the likes of UNLV and New Mexico State University. With those two groups that I sponsor, sometimes there's others that join us in terms of our activities. We've worked with the Behavioral Sciences Club, the Emerging Leaders Society. So I have a great deal of respect for these students who have come together and helped me facilitate some of these projects that we've been involved in. To simplify things for me, since there's so many of these clubs that I juggle, I put everything under the Project Impact umbrella a few years ago. And you mentioned impact. I'll try to get the wording right here. It's interdisciplinary minds performing acts of community transformation. So every year I sit down with the students and we develop a different initiative and decide what we're going to focus on. Pathways to Care this year focused on historically underserved populations. You mentioned the elderly earlier. We've spent a lot of time working with elderly groups that exist within the community. We've went to some elder care facilities that exist around town. We've had projects where we've donated different items to those groups. We've engaged in socializing experiences with those particular people. We've come in contact with elderly and local institutions that are alums of Arkansas Tech University and had the honor of recognizing them through some of our service work as well. But the projects that I do with those clubs are wonderful because I think they give students a great appreciation for the overlap between the things that we're discussing in the classroom, the problems that are experienced by people in our communities, and how we can do something to alleviate the issues that revolve around those problems.
The work of Project Impact, part of more than 8,000 hours of recorded community service performed by Arkansas Tech students during this academic year alone. That's a big part of the culture of Arkansas Tech. From your perspective as a faculty member and as you see it through the eyes of your students and just as a human being, why is the act of serving others important?
Well, I think whenever you serve others, that integrates into your sense of self. And that allows you to expand your perception of who you are and also give you a greater appreciation for things that other individuals might go through. You know, Sam, all humans suffer. We all go through problems at some point or another, and I think it's very enriching for us to garner this notion of service and support for others, especially in a time period where some people might make the argument that a lot of people are turned inward and just focused on themselves. Makes you a more holistic person and gives you a greater appreciation for life.
That is Dr. Jason Ulsperger, 2026 Faculty Award of Excellence recipient. And until next time, so long, everybody.